Europe's bloody double standard. Iran, Israel, and the hypocrisy of self-defense. When Ukraine defends, it's heroism. When Israel slaughters, it's justified. When Iran responds, it's terrorism. Welcome to the European Union's moral theater. In the theater of geopolitics, few stages are more grotesquely hypocritical than the one built by the European Union. For over 2 years, the EU has rallied under the banner of freedom, sovereignty, and international law in support of Ukraine against Russian aggression. And rightly so. When Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022, the world stood behind Kyiv. Ukraine has the right to defend itself, became the anthem of European diplomacy. But here's where the music turns to noise, chaotic, cruel, and politically repugnant. October 7, 2023, the convenient line of sympathy. When Hamas launched its attack on Israel, the West shifted its moral compass overnight. Israel declared war, not just on Hamas, but on an entire civilian population trapped in Gaza. The result? Over 60,000 people killed, including more than 18,000 children. Entire families wiped off the registry. Hospitals, refugee camps, and schools reduced to rubble. And Europe? Silent. Or worse, cheerleading. Leaders from Paris to Berlin to Brussels repeated like a broken record. Israel has the right to defend itself. To defend itself from whom? From babies? From journalists? From doctors performing surgeries by flashlight? April 1, 2024. Israel crosses the line again, and again in June 2025. On April 1, 2024, Israel bombed the Iranian consulate in Damascus, killing several high-ranking commanders of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. This was no battlefield skirmish. It was a direct attack on diplomatic soil, a blatant violation of the Vienna Convention, which protects embassies and consulates under international law. It wasn't war. It was an assassination carried out with impunity. Iran didn't rush to respond. It waited, calculated, and when it struck back on April 13, 2024, it did so with over 300 drones and missiles, targeting Israeli military sites, not civilians. A proportional, measured, and legal action under Article 51 of the UN Charter, which grants every sovereign nation the right to defend itself after an armed attack. But Israel didn't stop there. In June 2025, Israel launched another wave of unauthorized strikes deep inside Iranian territory, this time targeting infrastructure around Isfahan, a region housing sensitive military and nuclear facilities. Explosions were reported near military airfields and research centers, again without any declaration of war, any international mandate, or even an attempt at justification beyond the same tired excuse: preemptive self-defense. In the European Union, we condemn Iran's aggression. Not a word on Israel violating international airspace. Not a whisper about the illegal strikes. Not a line on the multiple breaches of sovereignty. When Israel strikes, it's security. When Iran responds, it's aggression. That's not diplomacy. That's a license to kill dressed in a hypocritical press release. The EU's rotten script. Who gets to defend themselves? Let's spell it out. Case action: EU response: Ukraine attacked by Russia. They have every right to fight back. Israel bombs Gaza into the Stone Age, it's self-defense. Iran responds to an illegal Israeli airstrike. Iran is the aggressor. Is this international law? Or colonial politics in disguise? The EU supports Ukraine's right to defend itself against a nuclear power, because Ukraine is an ally. But when the victim wears a keffiyeh or speaks Farsi, the law is rewritten. Human rights for the few. Silence for the many. Europe claims to be the guardian of human rights. And yet, over 18,000 children lie in shrouds in Gaza, but European flags still fly in support of Israel. Iran's leaders are condemned for resisting aggression, while Israel's war crimes are met with military aid and diplomatic cover. Palestinian resistance is branded terrorism, while the systematic massacre of civilians is called collateral damage. This is not diplomacy. This is cowardice dressed in a suit. Iran's right to self-defense is not a debate, it's a legal fact. Iran is not a rogue actor. It is a sovereign nation, repeatedly attacked, sanctioned, isolated, and now struck on diplomatic soil. Its response was not reckless. It was controlled, proportional, and targeted. Iran gave time for civilians to seek shelter. It avoided escalation. And yet, the EU condemns Iran? Where was this condemnation when Israel assassinated Iranian scientists on Iranian soil? Where was the outrage when Israel bombed hospitals, bakeries, and schools in Gaza? Where was the humanity when 2.3 million people were cut off from food, fuel, and water? A union of hypocrisy, not of justice. The European Union has lost its moral compass. It cannot talk about a rules-based order, while ignoring the rules when its allies break them. It cannot talk about human rights, while turning a blind eye to genocide. It cannot invoke self-defense for one nation and deny it to another, especially when the aggressor is Israel. Iran has the right to defend itself. Full stop. And the world should no longer tolerate this two-faced narrative that paints resistance as terrorism and occupation as security. The blood of Palestinian children and the silence over Iranian sovereignty expose a brutal truth. In the eyes of the European Union, some lives matter more than others.